In the course of creating and managing virtual machines, there could be an instance where you need multiples of these virtual machines for deployment on your local area network to run certain services, or to create a lab environment, or for demonstration purposes. In any of these instances, you have to go through the process of creating a new virtual machine, and then when you finish, you install an operating system to that virtual machine. So it takes quite a bit of time to complete that process. But VMware Workstation Pro has a feature within it that allows you to create a copy of an existing virtual machine, or to clone an existing virtual machine, which is quite faster than you going through the process of creating a new virtual machine. So this tutorial is going to guide you on how you are going to create a copy of an existing virtual machine, or clone an existing virtual machine. So before you can clone an existing virtual machine, that virtual machine does not have to be powered on. In my case, you can just see that I already have my VMware Workstation turned on, and then I have a VM which has been powered on. That is the Dell Inspiron you are seeing over here. So let me just demonstrate to you how it is if the system is going to allow us to create a clone of this Dell Inspiron which has been powered on. So I'll right click the name of the VM, click manage, and then click clone. So from here you can see that the next button which I would have clicked, or I will click to take me through the process of cloning the VM, has been grayed out, which means that I cannot create the clone whilst the virtual machine has been powered on. So I am going to turn it off before I begin the cloning process. So you can see my VM has been powered off. Now if I want to clone, I'll go through that process again. So I'll right click it, click manage, and then click clone. I can also come to VM, manage, and then clone. Alright, but before I proceed with the cloning process, now when you are cloning an existing virtual machine, it's kind of similar to you creating a new virtual machine. The difference here is that this one is going to create a copy, an exact same copy of the existing VM. But if you go through the process of creating a new virtual machine, you have to even install a new operating system to that VM. So all of these two scenarios, you will have to create a directory to host the configuration files of whether a clone system or a new system that you are building or that you are creating. So I'll go to File Explorer, and then in my File Explorer, I find, or I look for a location, and then I create a new directory. So I will label this directory as Dell Optiplex. So Dell Optiplex directory is going to be that directory or folder which is going to host the configuration files of the system that I am going to clone, or the new system. So from here, I'll click next, maintain this option selected, click next again, and then here we have clone method. So we have two main methods of cloning an existing virtual machine. So with the first option, which is already selected, is to create a linked clone. What that means is that the existing virtual machine is going to act as a parent, or a parent virtual machine, and the new one that you are going to create out of it is going to be a child virtual machine. In other words, you always need the parent to exist before the child can run. So if you power on the child and then the parent, some of the configuration files of the parent VM, in this case the existing VM, are missing, the new VM isn't going to run, or you are going to have some challenges here and there in terms of running that virtual machine. The next option is create a full clone. So here we are going to create the exact same copy of the existing virtual machine without the new one going to depend on that existing virtual machine before it can run. So whether or not the existing virtual machine configuration files exist on the system, the new or the full clone that you are going to create can still run. So I'll click next from here, and then here we have virtual machine name. So you can maintain the name clone of Dell Inspiron, so that all the time you know that it was a clone version of the Dell Inspiron. But in my case, I am going to label it as Dell Optiplex, and then I navigate from here to the directory which contains the Dell Optiplex folder. So I'll choose Dell Optiplex and click OK, and then I click finish to begin the cloning process. So let's sit tight and wait for our system to go through the process of cloning. Now, how fast your system creates the clone depends on the specifications of the physical system on which the virtual machines are running. All right, so let's wait for the process to complete. Okay, so we are almost done. This is a very fast process and takes you less than 2 minutes to complete, but it depends on your system. Like I said, it is way faster than you going through the process of creating a new virtual machine. So we are done here. So the system is automatically going to open the new virtual machine that has been cloned. So here I have Dell Optiplex, which has been opened. So I can just power it on like any other virtual machine. Now let's go to the configuration files or the directory of this clone virtual machine to see how the configuration files are. So this is the Dell Optiplex, the new one that we cloned. Now check the configuration files. It still has or bears the name of the Dell Inspiron configuration files. You can see. So the virtual disks have all been labeled as Dell Inspiron. The reason being that it is a clone version of the original Dell Inspiron. So this is the Dell Inspiron. These are the configuration files, the virtual hard disks that were split at the time of creation, and then the new one or the clone one, which still bears the name of the Dell Inspiron. But over here we have Dell Optiplex and the likes, because that was the name that we gave the VM when we were creating it. But all of these other configuration files, specifically the virtual disk, have been labeled as Dell Inspiron. Alright, so that's all for now. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, kindly subscribe to the channel, share, comment, and recommend the channel to others for them to also subscribe. Thank you once again for watching.